Hello and welcome to this edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Michelle Marino.
And I'm Paul Werlin. At Arlington Public News, we bring you stories of interest to Arlington and surrounding communities. In tonight's newscast, we look at the effects of construction on Arlington's Mass Ave. We discuss the perceived connection between money and politics. And we look back to opening night of last month's 4th annual Arlington International Film Festival.
Plus the continuation of our financial series, Dollar Cents. All that and more coming up next. Please stay with us.
On October 23rd, the Arlington Chamber of Commerce held a member recognition banquet at the Arlington Masonic Temple. The banquet honored both businesses and individuals who have contributed to the community and the Chamber. APN brings you this coverage of the event.
I'm Brenda Mahoney here for APN at the Arlington Masonic Temple, where the Arlington Chamber of Commerce is honoring businesses that they say provide a real service to the community.
Well, I think there are a lot of local businesses that really work hard to make Arlington really vibrant and vital and a place for people to shop and dine and visit.
Being involved with the Chamber has been a great opportunity to grow my business and to really meet new people. I was also new to Arlington, so it was a great opportunity to meet people just, in the community.
It's certainly nice to be recognized, and I think the meaning of that award, says that, we're a contributor to this community. We support the community in many ways through, obviously, our banking and investment products, and also through community sponsorship of nonprofits. This year alone, we sponsored 30 of those organizations. That's a part of our mission. We've always said that we're only as strong as the communities in which we're active in and do business in. And it's just wonderful for us to contribute in that way. And we're going to continue to do that. We've been around for 180 years. We'll be around for many more.
I own a flower and garden and gift shop in the center. We sell beautiful flowers. I'm right here. I feel very honored, and I have to say I was a little bit surprised because I had no idea it was coming. And I've just been really pleased with my recent involvement in the Chamber. It's been a very supportive environment for the businesses. Jen's been great to work with. So I'm very honored to receive the award, and I'm hoping that it will raise awareness of our business also.
I guess for those businesses that really excel or go out of their way to promote other businesses, promote the Chamber, promote civic activity and that type of thing. I think it's very nice to give back.
In addition to the awards for businesses, the Chamber also thought it was important to recognize the police and fire department for their services to the town.
We decided this year as a chamber that we really wanted to recognize them and their efforts to protect and serve the town of Arlington. So I'm honored actually to be presenting the fire department their award.
It is a great honor for the department, and we're proud of the men and women who are on the department that put me in a good light every day.
We're honored. The community thrives when small businesses thrive. And the Chamber's made up mostly of small business men and women from Arlington, and we've done a lot of work in trying to partner with them to create an environment where they can thrive as business people, and it's part of our community policing mission, and so we're honored.
The 4th annual Arlington International Film Festival took place from October 15th through the 19th at the Regent Theater. Kicking off the strong slate of films shown was the winner of the AIFF Jury Award for Best Documentary, a film called Botso, the Teacher from Tbilisi. This documentary powerfully captures the work and life spirit of an inspiring music teacher from the Republic of Georgia and was a fitting choice for opening night of the festival. APN was there to cover the festivities, and we bring you this report.
Welcome to the historic Regent Theater in downtown Arlington. We're here for the opening night of the 4th annual Arlington International Film Festival. We're going to be talking to the founders and the director and some of the other people involved in making of some of the films that we're screening tonight. It's an exciting event. It's here at the Regent from October 15th through 19th. It's grown tremendously since its inception 3 years ago. So Come on down and watch some of the films. It's a great event for Arlington. Welcome. What is the difference this year? Why is it bigger? Is it just because the word has gotten out more in the last 3 years?
I think really it's a lot of legwork on behalf of Alberto, a lot of web work through LinkedIn and film stages on the web, and people are connecting and they're actually asking if they can submit. We're not seeking out submissions like we were the first couple of years. A lot of social justice, a lot of arts films this year. It's exactly what we want, that blend, and we're really fortunate. Of course, we're excited about opening night. Bozo, the teacher from Tbilisi. And it's wonderful to have the whole entire crew with us, which is great.
I have the pleasure of being here tonight with Tom Walters, who's the director of the film Bozo, the teacher from Tbilisi, which is the feature documentary tonight, which won this year's AIFF award, jury award for best documentary. Why this story? Why did you choose Bozo and your neighbor? Why this gentleman? Why this character? Why this story over somebody else?
Well, now that we look back of it, it's kind of like a story that had to be told. It's so inspiring it had to be told. And he has affected so many people. And he taught my own daughters violin. And, I just, as a documentarian, I just thought this is an amazing story. And the more we uncovered about him and about people he affected over the years, it just got more amazing. And then we actually flew back to the Republic of Georgia and films, took him back to his homeland, and that again was a whole nother level of an amazing experience, amazing culture, and so I thought it was a great story to begin with, but it got richer and richer as we went, and audiences seemed to resonate with that.
The festival is gaining its reputation with the filmmakers, especially with the independent filmmakers.
Are you surprised or not so surprised that it's grown the way it has just in 4 short years?
In some degree, I'm surprised, but another no, because we are working and we make it happen to put the word out, inviting the filmmakers.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Paul Werlin with Arlington Public News. As you make your way along Mass Ave in East Arlington, you have probably noticed the construction in the Capitol Square area. The business district is being rebuilt as sidewalks are widened to create more walking space and new areas for sidewalk cafes. Local business owners have raised concerns about the slowing of customer traffic during the upgrade. News producer Yawa Degboye spoke with shop owners about the effects of the construction.
East Arlington Mass Ave rebuild project started in the spring of 2014. The goal is to upgrade infrastructure and improve safety of residents. Today, we are meeting with 3 business owners in Capitol Square to discuss about the impact of the construction on their businesses. I'm here with Jan Whitted, founder of the store Artbeat.
I opened Artbeat in 1996, and we provide gifts, toys, and tools that promote creativity. And we also have a studio where people can come and make things. East Arlington is being rebuilt, the whole area from Pond Lane down to Route 16, so that includes the business district. So we will have safer streets and wider sidewalks, and the process has begun. The plan is for it to go block by block, and if it's able to go that way efficiently, we're hoping that the disruption is minimal, but of course we don't really know. And this year for the business district, the impact's going to be minimal. It'll be heavier next year.
My name's Diane Buxton, and I own Love and Other Gifts at 189 Mass Avenue in Capitol Square of East Arlington. Welcome to my store. I opened my store a little over a year ago. I really love this neighborhood, and the business association is fantastic. The other business owners couldn't have been more welcoming, and I've just been having a blast getting to know the community, my customers. I've heard around the construction that, there's been a lot of differing opinions about whether or not it's a good idea. And, what keeps me up at night is thinking about, what's going to happen afterwards, like if and when we all survive the construction, what is it going to mean for the rent in the area? Is it going to push us out because it's going to be, a beautiful area and landlords are going to want more rent? And, it makes me nervous that all the indie shops might get pushed out for the bigger chain stores that can afford it.
I'm here at Tony's Stores and here with a business owner. Could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Tony Zayas, owner of Tony's All Sport Barbershop.
So how long have you been in East Arlington?
3 years. 3 years and about 2 months.
And what do you think about the construction in East Arlington and the impact on your businesses?
I think we're going to see a little bit of an impact, parking-wise, walk-ins, new walk-ins, new customers. But I think overall, once the construction is done, I think it's going to be a good thing for the community.
We met several pedestrians and shoppers in Capitol Square. They share their experiences. What do you think about the construction in the area?
I don't know a lot about it, but it just makes the area a little noisy and hectic. It's fine, but it's, a bit ugly. That's okay.
So what do you think about the construction on Mass Ave and in the district, in the business district?
Well, I'm on the fence. I'm not sure what's gonna happen at the end. I know that it's nice that they are building 150. They are putting 150 more trees, so I like that. But I know that it is very congested in the mornings and in the rush hour traffic. So I don't know how it's going to end up in the end.
To stay updated about activities and support local businesses during the construction, you can visit capitolsq.com for more information. For Arlington Public News, this is Yawa Degboe.
Conversations is an Arlington community education series that hosts discussions with influential journalists, writers, and leaders about issues affecting the community and influencing our world. News producer Hannah Perlmutter met with David Whitford, the host of the series, to speak about the program and the importance of promoting conversation.
Hi and welcome. Today I'm here with guest David Whitford, who is the co-creator of the Arlington Community Education Conversation Series. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm happy to be here.
Can you just start off by telling us a little bit about what the Conversation Series is?
Yeah, you very generously called me the co-creator. Really, the creator of this series was Donna Edson, who is the head of Arlington Community Education. Arlington is, a good-sized community. I think, what do we have, about 40,000 people living in Arlington? And lots of people with really fascinating backgrounds, with fascinating careers, with interesting professions, and people who kind of fly under the radar sometimes. So her idea was, let's bring these people out into the open and begin this conversation series. And the idea is we recruit interesting people, and we have a 90-minute session. I sit down with them, begin sort of an interview or conversation, let people talk. These are not lectures, and they're not one-on-one interviews, but they're really conversations. It's more like something involving the whole community. It's been so successful that we schedule more and more all the time now. We used to just do 3 a year. Now we aim to do 7 a year, in the spring, in the fall, and also during January.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long has this been going on for?
About 4 or 5 years.
What is the goal of this? Is it more of bringing a community together, or is it more of just highlighting?
Well, I think it's great intellectual stimulation, and it's great community building also. I've just been so impressed by how well attended these things have been. We're often up against a football game or Red Sox World Series back in the day, and nevertheless we usually we always invariably have a big turnout, and the conversation is always lively, and it involves everybody in the audience as well. And I come out of these sessions each time feeling great about living in Arlington. Not only for all the interesting people who live here and who we feature on the stage, but for all the interesting and fascinating people who come to the sessions and participate in the conversation. So just to give you an idea of the scope, we've had 2 Pulitzer Prize winners who've come over the years. Ron Suskind, best-selling author and Pulitzer Prize winner, has been on the stage twice. Megan Marshall, Pulitzer Prize winning author, professor at Emerson College, has been on stage twice talking about her books about 19th century intellectual history. This time we've got Alex Beam, we've got Nick Burns, who is an Arlington resident and teaches at the Kennedy School, former diplomat. And we have Dale Peterson, who's the biographer of Jane Goodall, another Arlington resident who will be here this fall. So the ones this fall are Alex Beam, Nick Burns, and Dale Peterson.
Are these events free?
No, it's $10 I see looking here at the catalog.
And where could people go to find out more information about this?
The Arlington Community Education website has the full lineup. I think most, if not all, Arlington residents have received in the mail a paper copy of the Arlington Community Education catalog for this year. And it's all there. You can buy tickets in advance, and that's encouraged, but you can also buy tickets at the door.
Well, this is really exciting. It sounds like something our viewers would be very interested in, so I'm so grateful you came in to actually enlighten us a little bit more. I'm Hannah Perlmutter with Arlington Public News. Thanks for watching.
That sounds like it's really going to be a great series featuring some really important people.
Yeah, it's amazing that they've already been able to pull so many influential individuals to Arlington, and sounds like the spring events are coming right up, and they'll have some even more interesting folks.
It's a great asset to the community for sure. Throughout election season, we are all aware of the many campaign ads, events, and other costly communications tools employed by political candidates. Many wonder about the ties between money, political influence, and the public interest. We spoke with Timothy Kuhner, an associate law professor and author of the book Capitalism versus Democracy, about the history of money in politics and the relationship between the economic and political sectors.
Few Supreme Court decisions in recent memory have so captured the attention of the American public as Citizens United. To help me explore the road to Citizens United, as well as consider the potential paths leading beyond it, is Timothy Kuhner, Associate Law Professor at Georgia State University College of Law. Professor Kuhner's scholarship has been cited in the Yale Law Journal, Harvard Law Review, and the American Journal of Comparative Law, and he is most recently the author of Capitalism v. Democracy, Money in Politics and the Free Market Constitution. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Let's go back to the beginning, as it were. 1976, Supreme Court, the case Buckley v. Vallejo, setting the tone for money and politics cases. What did it say about how the political and the economic spheres should interact in our democracy?
It said what it accomplished was to eliminate the distinction between the political and the economic spheres. Okay. And it said so in fairly open language. So this is a case about the first comprehensive federal election campaign act at the federal level that had ever been passed in U.S. history. And it contained contribution limits to campaigns, to candidates, to parties. It contained expenditure limits by candidates, by outside speakers, and so on. It contained a limited public financing system for presidential campaigns. And the part that bothered the Supreme Court the most was the expenditure limits. And so when you're in the realm of expenditure limits, you're talking about limiting the total volume of economic power that the candidates and the parties are putting out there. And in examining that question, the Supreme Court basically said democracy is a market. Money is speech. Political equality is an unconstitutional rationale to limit this market, and that the entire United States was forced into this free market constitutional realm, which we hadn't occupied before. And so it was really a radical moment.
Certainly other advanced democracies are dealing with this issue as well, would be my thought. And certainly their intention is to also protect the freedom of speech of their citizens. So how have they gone about limiting the corrosive effects of money in politics?
It's very common to have that free media time. It's common to also have some postage and mailing subsidized. And it's very common to have roughly 50% of political parties' election-related expenses, if not their general operating expenses, covered through government subsidies. So those are common methods. Limitations of contributions from private individuals, limitations on corporate contributions and corporate expenditures vary quite a bit. And there's very respectable democracies that don't limit those sources too strictly. It's just that they offset them with significant public financing. And so the U.S. is so interesting. You know, we have this very privatized model of governance because we don't have good subsidies. The only federal races we really subsidize are presidential, and those subsidies are now almost insignificant, and most candidates are going to be turning them down, I think, going forward. The Congress is entirely privatized in that sense. It's $10 million to become a senator, $1 million on average to become a member of the House.
Thanks so much for speaking with me today. Thanks so much for your book, and I will look forward to the next book on Citizens United.
Thanks, Peter. It was a pleasure for me. Amongst the important things in life we're told money can't buy are health, love, and happiness. I suppose at the time it went without saying that democracy belonged on the list as well. Our mistake that we took it for granted. The encouraging news today is that 70% of we Americans, of all political hues, disagree with the Citizens United ruling. That's a good starting point. To continue that journey, however, we need to cultivate activism and persistence. For while equality and access may be our birthrights, they have never been conceded without demand. Let's get working. On behalf of Tim Puner, I'm Peter Bermudez for Arlington Public News.
It's now time for part 4 of Dollar Sense, a series that examines the agencies, institutions, and mechanisms that make up our financial system. This week, the topic is the housing market, its role in the Great Recession, and how things look currently.
Hi, and welcome back to Dollar Sense. Here once again with Joe Camargo, a partner at Platinum Wealth Partners and our resident guru for the series, as we look at all the different aspects of our financial system. You may remember that last time, and Joe, I'm sure you do remember, we talked about the Great Recession. Obviously, we are aware that housing had played an enormous role in the unfolding of the recession. So can you walk us through a little bit what the role was specifically of the housing crisis in both leading us into and one hopes out of the recession?
Well, as you mentioned, the housing sector and the auto sector are enormous with respect to our overall economic output. The U.S. being the leading financial engine in the global marketplace, there's also an obvious impact, a ripple effect that those two sectors have across the globe. If we go back a little bit in time, the U.S. went through an enormous buildup in residential construction and commercial construction. If we go back to the early 1990s, just after the S&L crisis, we had a period of time, call it 15 years, give or take, in which housing was incredibly strong. And that's something that you could see just about everywhere. You could see that at your local mall. You could see it down the street from your house. Neighborhoods were popping up. Malls, plazas were popping up. The problem, though, with that, I think most people look at that as a positive, and it is up to an extent. And the extent is, or it goes back to one of the concepts that we talked about earlier, and that's supply and demand. If there's an enormous supply of housing and there is a change within the business sector, within the economic cycle that we talked about, as they say, all good things must come to an end. What goes up must come down, and that was just as true with respect to housing as it was to the auto sector, as it is to anything else. Just as housing propels us into economic prosperity, housing also has an enormous impact with respect to a recessionary period. And again, this past recession that most historians and most economists are referring to as the Great Recession, housing was right in the middle, absolutely in the middle.
Do you have the sense that the main actors, the government, let's say Wall Street, the large industries that we're so dependent on to hire workers and to provide services and goods, etc. Do you think that there are lessons that have been learned? Do you see evidence of that would leave us a little bit more secure as we move forward?
With respect to the government, given its dysfunctional nature, I think that it certainly learned its lesson in terms of how to deal with this recession and perhaps how not to. But I think in the final analysis, if you look at the government, if you look at some of the major players that you just mentioned, I believe that some instruments have been put in place that you would like to think would lessen the chances of another major recession such as the one that we just went through. If you take those major players that you just talked about, there's one additional player that you didn't mention, which I think is paramount, and that's the consumer. The consumer spending makes up roughly 2/3 of our overall economic output. And I like to think that the consumer, despite what you hear, has done a nice job in terms of fixing its balance sheet and in terms of spending on automobiles. There's enormous pent-up demand for automobiles and other durable goods, dishwashers and general appliances. When the economy is not doing quite so well, those sort of things aren't purchased. One example, very unscientific way I think of gauging how well the economy is doing is take a ride to your local mall on a traditionally non-shopping night, a Tuesday or Wednesday night. At the height of the recession, the plazas were
just
ghost towns.
Barren, I assume.
Barren.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to take a ride on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, a Monday night, people are shopping, and they're shopping for things that are of a discretionary nature, which is a good sign. Yeah.
Well, on that note of cautious and tempered optimism, but optimism nonetheless, I will thank Joe for guiding us again through this most recent exploration. And thank all of you for joining us for this edition of Dollar Cents, and invite you to join us again in the future. We'll see you then.
On Saturday, November 1st, the Robbins Library hosted the first ever Arlington Book Festival, celebrating the importance of local authors. 8 panel discussions with 30 local writers participating covered topics such as self-promotion, the craft of storytelling, and the various pathways to getting work published. The event ended with a presentation from guest speaker Steve Almond, the author of Against Football. Library Assistant Director Andrea Nicolai noted that the festival was a great chance for writers of all levels to share their knowledge and creativity with the community.
Arlington Library Director Ryan Livergood will soon return to his home state of Illinois to take a position as Executive Director of a library district in the Chicago area. A farewell reception was held in the reading room at Robbins Library on Thursday afternoon, and many residents gathered to applaud Mr. Livergood's successful tenure and wish him well in his new ventures. We join in their appreciation for all he's done for Arlington, and we wish him the best in the future. Well, Paul, it sounds like there are a lot of really exciting things happening at Robbins Library. That was the first ever book festival, and it sounds like Mr. Livergood was a very positive influence there.
Yeah, definitely. This all happened under his tenure, and what I really like is that in this age of digital technology, it's great that Arlington still has a really thriving library.
Yes, definitely.
That's great. I like that a lot. Arlington Public News is a production of Arlington Community Media and functions as a gateway for local participation in issues and events of interest to the community.
You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find our latest segments on the web at news.acmi.tv. Please join us next time for another edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Michelle Marino.
And I'm Paul Werlin. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.